especially in the last year or so of my life, I've been exposed to much in science and religion. And I like to think I learned something, you know. And I took what I learned and I came up with my own theory. This is called the medio, that's me, young God theory. Now hear me out before you start, throwing stones. People aren't going to agree, that's cool. But I guess I have the same respect, like if you don't believe in God, have the same respect that you would hope for when explaining one of your theories of evolution. It's just a theory, doesn't mean it's true. But there are some interesting tidbits that not really back it up, but are interesting. They kind of fit in. I believe, based on everything I've learned and observed, that the Big Bang Theory makes way more sense to me as an explosion than the singularity does. That really, I don't see any shred of evidence for such a thing. The singularity, that sounds like more like just science fiction, some preposterous idea. I talked about it and I accept people's theory. If that's what you want to believe, fine, but you really have not one shred of evidence. The reason I accept the Big Bang Theory as an explosion is because a lot of people gave me the water droplet, the effects, if you throw water, in a vacuum, it'll seek a round shape. So now you have to think logically, like all the planets are round-ish. In a hard state, gravity could never, if they were all hard, the planets, or made of solid matter, could never pull that shape. I don't even care if you go billions of years. It's not going to happen. They're not going to be around like that. I don't care how strong gravity is. Especially on Earth, gravity is way stronger than that of the moon, right? So we can only assume other planets have weak gravitational force too. Maybe some have strong, I don't know. But the point is, it can never pull itself around like that. Impossible. But now add into the equation, after such a massive explosion, remember, all known matter in the universe made up encompassed maybe one huge piece of matter. When it exploded, all that matter now was molten. Now molten is closer to liquid than a solid is, obviously. So now you can see, after such a powerful explosion, you can see how those molten orbs spread out throughout creating the universe. You can see how a molten orb of matter could take on that shape of round. Okay, I believe the birth of the universe, the Big Bang Theory, was also the birth of God. God said, I am the beginning and I am the end, Alpha, Omega, Da. So that means there was a beginning and there certainly will be an end. Now this theory is called the young God theory because some people believe that God could watch over every single one of us, every single moment. I'm more deist in belief, whereas I believe God created everything and we're pretty much up to our own, left to our own devices as to, how things are going to play out. He could interfere, and sometimes in history, he certainly has. Parting of the Red Sea and all that stuff. That shows God could do whatever he wants. He could influence man. He could do things on this earth. But why would he watch every single person of every single day, of every single, it doesn't, that doesn't even make sense. If we were made in God's image, then I believe God himself has a lifespan. Now remember, again, God said, I am the beginning and I am the end, right? The Alpha Omega. Okay, his own words could suggest that. So, if that's true, if God could bop around through time itself, then God isn't as old as the universe. You understand? It's like make-believe. We had a time machine. We go back in time and we tell the people, here, build this pyramid. Here's how you do it. And we give them plans and everything. We're not going to stay there and watch the whole process of the pyramids being built. Maybe we can get in our time machine and just bop 20 years later. And we come back a second later, boom, it's done. You know what I'm saying? So you have to take that into consideration. That's why young Earth creationists got it backwards. Okay? It's not the Earth that is young. It's God that is young. Okay? Science and our history, things we learned about, prove the Earth is way older than 10,000 years. Okay? Just the one example I brought up in another video, the Mayans. Okay? For them to be able to predict, okay, spatial anomalies and what's going to happen, position of the sun, the star, and for them to know, you know, the alignment of the planets that's coming in 2012, for them to know all that, they had to observe that happening before. Then they made like a chart. Oh, on this day this happens, on this day this happens. Very tedious, time-consuming work. Every day they had a chart, and that's how they learned. That alone blows young Earth creationism out of the water. But, accept what I say now, this day, that God is young. The Earth is old. Like I said, there's no reason for God to stick around and watch every single thing. I mean, for billions of years, nothing at all was happening. What's God supposed to do? Just sit there and look? Like, why? Why would he do that? No. Boom, in the blink of an eye. He's billions of years in the future. Okay? But again, all through history, God did make himself known. Okay? The birth of Jesus. I mean, there's tons of story where God directly used his influence. Another reason why I don't believe that God is always with us every single second of every single day, it makes no sense to me. It boggles the mind. Because if that was the case, then why would he, like, does he get off on watching people get hurt and do things? No, of course he doesn't. That saddens him. Especially, you know, man's inhumanity to man. If you're going to believe in God, then you have to believe that he's very sad how we treat each other, you know. There's no reason for him just to sit there and watch everything. It makes no sense whatsoever. God's beginning was the beginning of the universe. And God's end is the end of the universe. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. Believe God's words. There was a beginning, and there will be an end.